In the financial markets, the majority walk in like tourists, wide-eyed, unarmed, led by emotion. But the predators, they enter with silence, precision, and one purpose: to hunt. This is not a game. It's a battlefield where the weak are bait and the unaware are casualties. Every flashing green candle, every headline, every rumor is a trap designed for those who react instead of calculate. If you've ever felt like the market was hunting you, that's because it was. But here's the truth: no one tells you. You can become the hunter. This chapter is not about playing the market. It's about dominating it with a mindset forged in patience, discipline, and strategic violence. The predator doesn't chase every opportunity. It waits, it watches, and when the moment is right, it strikes with ruthless clarity. This is the mindset that separates the amateurs from the elite, the emotional from the unstoppable, the prey from the predator. The difference between prey and predator. In the financial markets, 90% of traders behave like prey. They enter the arena hoping the market will be kind. They scan charts with fear in their hearts and greed in their eyes. They buy too high because they're afraid of missing out. They sell too low because they can't stomach the pain. Every move they make is a reaction to noise, headlines, and heat maps. They live trade to trade, addicted to action, desperate for confirmation. Prey don't have a plan. They have opinions. And opinions in the market are liabilities. Watch a typical retail trader, and you'll see exactly what Wall Street expects. They get excited when prices rise and terrified when they fall. They chase breakouts without context, average down into disaster, and hold losers with hope while cutting winners out of fear. They read tweets like gospel and check the news every 15 minutes, hoping for a lifeline. They are emotionally entangled in every tick, every fluctuation, every red candle that threatens their ego. Now contrast that with the predator. A predator doesn't care about noise. A predator doesn't care about being right. A predator only cares about edge, that mathematical and psychological advantage that tilts the game in their favor. They don't trade to feel smart. They trade to extract blood from the market with calculated precision. The predator has no urgency. He can sit still for days, weeks if needed, watching from the shadows as others burn capital and energy on setups with no teeth. He is studying, watching liquidity flows, tracking the dumb money, calculating when fear will hit maximum. And when the setup aligns with his framework, with favorable reward to risk, with volume confirmation and behavioral signals flashing green, then he strikes. Fast, clean, no hesitation. This is the difference. Prey think the market is a place of fairness, a level playing field. They think effort equals outcome. That time in front of the screen is what matters. They trade based on emotion, narrative, and the false belief that more trades equals more profit. Predators know better. They know this is not a casino. It's a hunting ground, one where the patient, the strategic, and the psychologically armored feast on the irrationality of the masses. And here's the cold truth. The market was designed to punish the prey. It was built to exploit their need for certainty, their impatience, their ego, and their lack of self-awareness. The algorithms, the institutions, the pros, they all feed on predictable behavior. And the prey? They're nothing if not predictable. You want to rise above the herd? Then start thinking like a predator. A predator understands risk. A predator defines their downside before entering any position. They never marry a trade. They kill losers fast and let winners run. They don't just analyze price action, they interpret the crowd's psychology behind every candle. They don't get seduced by hype, they wait for weakness to expose itself, and then, with surgical precision, they enter. Trading like a predator is not about more knowledge, it's about superior mental calibration, about rewiring how you think, how you act, how you feel under pressure. It's about becoming immune to the chaos and deadly in the calm. So ask yourself, are you still acting like prey, or are you ready to hunt? The market does not reward the smartest. It rewards the most disciplined. In the heart of every great predator lies a blueprint, a system, a structure of behavior so sharp, so practiced, that when the time to strike arrives, there's no hesitation, no second guessing, only execution. This is where the amateur falls and the predator rises, in discipline. The illusion of intelligence in trading Wall Street is littered with analysts, economists, and PhDs who can model out the next recession in a spreadsheet, yet consistently fail to generate alpha. Why? Because trading is not about intelligence, it's about behavior under pressure. Markets don't care about your IQ. They care about how well you follow your plan when the pain kicks in. Most traders have no system. Or worse, they build one, then abandon it at the first emotional impulse. They chase trades they promised they'd avoid. They move stops. They add to losers. They trade to feel alive instead of trading to win. A predator does not fall into this trap, because before he ever places a trade, he has already engineered the execution process in his mind. He has rules. He has triggers. He has filters, and he follows them like a machine. The predator's system, built before the hunt. Think of a predator in the wild, a lion stalking a wildebeest. That lion doesn't run after everything it sees. It doesn't waste energy on an uncalculated chase. It waits for the exact signs: weakness, isolation, fatigue. Now map that to a professional trader. A predator trader doesn't throw trades at every candle that moves. He waits for the confluence. A-level setups only, confirmed trend, or clear reversion signal. Ideal volume, liquidity, structure, and sentiment alignment. His criteria are non-negotiable. He doesn't get seduced by a flashy chart or a friend's tip. If the setup doesn't fit the plan, it's dead on arrival. The system rules the trader, not the trader ruling the system. This reversal of control is what separates a discretionary gambler from a systematic predator. A true predator understands that markets are environments of uncertainty. And in such environments, the only edge you truly possess is your ability to remain predictable to yourself while everyone else is reacting to chaos. Emotions are data, not directions. Here's what most retail traders never understand. Your emotions are not the enemy. They are signals, but they're not signals to follow. They're signals to interpret. Fear rising? The crowd is panicking. Opportunity may be forming. Greed climbing? Euphoria is setting in. Trap territory. A predator doesn't ignore emotion. He reads it like a weather radar. He uses it to understand where the crowd is headed and then does the opposite when the setup justifies it. He doesn't let emotion drive action. He lets emotion reveal where the prey is vulnerable. That's predator-level psychology. You don't fight your emotions in trading. You learn to separate them from your decisions. Discipline is not the suppression of feeling. It's the mastery of reaction. Ritual, routine, repetition. Every predator has a rhythm. In the markets, that rhythm is built on ritual. The retail trader opens the platform and starts looking for action. The predator opens the platform and runs through a checklist. Market bias, contextual levels, volatility regime, liquidity profile, catalysts. Once everything aligns, only then does the predator engage. No checklist, no trade. No structure, no action. That's the rule. This process is repeated daily, not because it's exciting, but because it's reliable. Consistency comes from boring repetition, not constant improvisation. Wall Street legends are not made from wild guesses. They're built on disciplined execution of boring edges. Trading as performance, the mental game. Top traders approach their craft like elite athletes. They don't just prepare strategies, they prepare themselves. They journal every trade. They review decisions. They simulate scenarios. They train under pressure. Their edge is not just technical, it's psychological. They know that the true battle in trading is not with the market, it's with the self. That's why they don't chase trades. They don't revenge trade. They don't scale beyond their capital curve. They operate with what we call emotional margin of safety. They size positions based on risk tolerance, not on greed. They cut losers without shame. They walk away when clarity is gone. In short, they protect their mental capital as fiercely as their financial one. Because without mental capital, no edge will survive the storm of real trading. Execution under fire. What separates the best? Imagine this. The setup is perfect. Your system flashes green. Your back-tested strategy says go, but the market is volatile. Twitter is exploding. The last trade was a loss. Your palms are sweating. You hesitate. That hesitation is the crack where losers are born. A predator doesn't hesitate. Not because he's fearless, but because he has trained for this exact moment. He has already visualized this scenario. He has already accepted the loss before the trade begins. He is not entering to prove something. He is entering because the data says this is where the edge lives. That's execution under fire. That's predator-level control. Managing the downside, the first job of a killer. Let's talk about risk. Retail traders focus on how much they can make. Predators focus on how much they can lose, at most. Before they enter a position, they know maximum loss, position size, worst case scenario. They use hard stops. Mental stops are lies you tell yourself. They never average into losers. They never let one trade destroy weeks of discipline. A predator knows that survival is everything. You live to fight another day. You manage risk like a casino. Every trade is just a chip on the table. You don't fall in love with any one bet. You play the long game. You let the law of large numbers do the heavy lifting. Because one thing separates pros from amateurs more than any other. Amateurs think in trades. Professionals think in probabilities. Patience as a weapon. In the wild, a predator can stalk for days before making a move. In trading, the same applies. There may be nothing to do for hours, days, sometimes weeks. The prey feels anxious in silence. The predator finds strength in it. The patience is not passive, it's active control. It is choosing not to act when action is suboptimal. And when the time comes, when all the variables align and the crowd is blind, the predator moves with ferocity. That's the payoff of patience. That's the reward for discipline. You don't get paid for doing more, you get paid for doing better. Building your predator operating system. Now let's be real. Discipline is not a trait, it's a skill. And like any skill, it must be built. Start here. Design your trading system. Write the rules down. Be specific. Backtest it. Forward test it. Validate it with small size. Create pre-trade and post-trade checklists. Track every trade in a journal. Log not just the numbers, but the thoughts and emotions behind it. Review weekly. Look for patterns of weakness. Plug those leaks. Build routines. Daily, weekly, monthly. Reduce decision fatigue. Automate where possible. And most importantly, do not break your rules for any reason. Every time you break your rules, you kill the predator and resurrect the prey. Every time you follow them, you sharpen your claws. Final words. Discipline is the hunt. In this market jungle, you're either disciplined or you're done. There is no middle ground. The market does not reward passion. It does not care about your goals or your hustle. It rewards those who approach it like a trained predator. With a plan. With emotional control, with precise execution, with surgical patience. Because in the end, trading is not about feeling right. It's about being effective. And the predator does not seek to feel, he seeks to kill. Wait like a lion, the ruthless patience of a market predator. On the surface, the lion looks passive, lying in the shade, muscles relaxed, breathing slow. But beneath that stillness is a predator calculating every move, watching, sensing, listening, not for noise, but for patterns, weakness, timing. This is how the elite trader operates in the market. Still on the outside, deadly underneath. Because true predators don't chase every shadow. They wait for the one opportunity that's worth everything. They know one powerful strike, executed at the right moment, can feed them for weeks. In the financial markets, this mindset is gold because the majority of traders are ants scrambling in chaos, clicking buttons, forcing trades, reacting to every tick like it's the last one they'll ever see. But the lion waits, and when it moves to kill. The market punishes impatience. There's an old truth on Wall Street. Money flows from the active to the patient. Yet most traders violate this law every single day. They log in, see price moving, and feel like they must act. They trade boredom. They force setups. They convince themselves that almost good is good enough. But here's the hard reality. The market doesn't reward effort. It rewards alignment. And alignment requires patience. You're not paid for hours in front of the screen. You're paid for waiting like a sniper until the shot is clean. Just like the lion does not chase every antelope, the elite trader does not engage with every breakout or every bounce. They wait for confluence, for exhaustion, for blood. Boredom is the cost of discipline. Most retail traders fail not because of lack of knowledge, but because they can't sit still. They can't handle the silence between trades. They equate inactivity with failure, when in reality, inaction is a position, a powerful one. The lion is not lazy when it waits. It is wise. It's conserving energy for the one moment that matters. The patient trader does the same. They preserve capital. They preserve emotional clarity. They preserve energy for execution because when the real opportunity arrives, it comes fast, and it does not wait for those who are distracted or emotionally drained from chasing garbage. False movement is a trap. The market is a master of deception. It will tempt you with fake breakouts. It will flash setups that almost fit your system. It will create noise designed to trigger your FOMO, your boredom, your need to do something. The prey falls for it every time, but the lion sees it for what it is, bait. Because the lion has studied the terrain. It knows the difference between footsteps in the grass and real prey ready to be taken down. The same goes for the market. The predator trader knows how to filter signal from noise, knows when volume is conviction and when it's a trap, knows when the crowd is overconfident and when it's time to strike. And that ability only comes through patience, through observation without reaction. The hunt is mental first. Waiting is not passive, it is an active test of your psychology. Every second you wait is a battle against your ego screaming, do something, your fear whispering, you'll miss the move, your memory replaying past missed trades. But a lion doesn't second guess itself while waiting. It doesn't wonder if another lion is getting the meal. It waits because it knows what's meant to be hunted will appear. The elite trader builds this same mindset. He does not panic in silence. He does not fear missing out. He understands that missing a bad trade is winning. He trusts his edge, his preparation, his ability to wait. He knows that a good setup will always scream, not whisper. And when it screams, he acts, ruthlessly, without hesitation, mastering market timing through non-action. Wall Street's most feared traders are not those who trade the most. They are the ones who wait the longest, for the cleanest edge, and then size up with confidence and aggression. That is how real accounts grow, not through frequency, through timing. Think of Paul Tudor Jones. He doesn't trade every day. Think of Stanley Druckenmiller. He waits for fat pitches. Think of Jesse Livermore. He said, "It was never my thinking that made the big money. It was always my sitting." The lesson? The lion doesn't roar every hour. The lion strikes once, and the jungle shakes. When you wait long enough, the market tells the truth. There is something magical that happens when you wait. The market begins to reveal its hand. Impatience leads to noise, but patience leads to clarity. Patterns mature. Crowd behavior becomes obvious. False narratives collapse. And you begin to see the inevitability of price, where it has to go, not because of prediction, but because of structural pressure building beneath the surface. Only those who wait can sense that. Only those who wait can capitalize. Waiting is not weakness, it's a weapon. In a world that rewards immediacy, patience becomes a competitive advantage. Waiting is not a lack of courage. It is the purest form of control. When you can sit, fully prepared, fully calm, and let opportunity come to you, you are dangerous. Because when you finally move, it is not out of hope or impulse. It is out of certainty. And the market can feel that force. Just like every animal in the savannah can feel the shift in the air when the lion stands up. The jungle goes quiet because when the lion rises, it's already too late. The market, a laboratory for savage instincts. The financial market is not a playground. It's a psychological jungle wrapped in algorithms, wrapped in liquidity, wrapped in fear and greed. Beneath the shiny charts and slick terminals lies a battlefield where raw human instinct is constantly being tested, exploited, and destroyed. This is not theory. This is not philosophy. This is war. And the battlefield is your brain. The market doesn't care what you want. It exists to expose what you are. And if what you are is weak, needy, greedy, impulsive, or afraid, it will find you, and it will devour you. Because the market is the most brutal mirror ever created. The savage origins of every trade. Every trade is a decision, but behind every decision is a chain reaction, ancient, emotional, and biological. Fight, flight, freeze, submit, dominate. These responses were wired into your DNA tens of thousands of years ago, not for trading, but for survival. When you're risking money in the market, your brain doesn't see numbers. It sees threats. It sees opportunity for status. It sees life and death. So your amygdala, the ancient primal brain, activates. You stop thinking in probability. You start reacting in emotion. You chase green candles like a predator chasing a rabbit. You panic at red ones like prey caught in the open. You overtrade because boredom feels like death. You freeze on the trigger because your body fears loss more than it craves gain. This is not failure. This is nature. But in the market, nature will cost you everything. The market is a trap for untrained instincts. The market is not chaotic. It is brilliantly organized to trigger your worst instincts at the worst times. A rally designed to suck in late buyers before reversing. A breakdown engineered to panic you out before reversing again. False signals, emotional spikes, volume traps, liquidity hunts. This is not conspiracy. It's architecture. The market doesn't just reward patience, it punishes urgency. It doesn't just test your edge, it tests your animal. The part of you that can't help but click. The part of you that itches when flat. The part of you that needs to be right. And it will keep testing that part until either 1, you kill it, 2, or it kills your account. You are not a spreadsheet. You are a biological machine. You can have the best system in the world, perfect backtests, optimal entries, airtight risk management. But none of that matters if your instincts override your rules. And they will. Unless you train them. Because you don't trade the market. You trade your nervous system inside the market. Your strategy is only as good as your ability to execute it under pressure. And execution lives in the body, not the screen. Shaking hands, tight chest, tunnel vision, overthinking, hesitation, overconfidence. These are not bugs. They are signals that your primal system is taking control. Your task is not to erase them. Your task is to train above them. To rewire instinct through repetition, exposure, discipline, and feedback. That's what separates the trader from the beast. That's what makes a predator, a conscious killer, not a reactive animal. The market feeds on the crowd's biology. Smart money doesn't win just because they're smarter. They win because they understand human behavior at scale. They understand how fear spreads like fire, how greed amplifies like echo. They engineer moves not just to move price, but to move emotion, to create liquidity where there was none, to trigger stops and trap the undisciplined, to push the crowd into predictable patterns of panic, revenge, hope, and despair. Every spike in price is a pulse in the herd's emotion, and predators can feel it. Because predators don't just study charts, they study the crowd's biology, and they trade not against price. They trade against the predictable reactions of the prey. You will meet yourself in the market. Every trader has a breaking point, a trade that shakes their identity, a loss that reveals their ego, a winning streak that blinds their discipline. The market will confront you with every version of yourself you've tried to hide. The gambler, the coward, the egoist, the perfectionist, the control freak. You'll meet them all, and if you're not prepared, they will take over the wheel. But here's the gift inside the pain. Every emotional failure in the market is a mirror of what still controls you. And only those who face it, who look into that reflection without flinching, can grow past it. From reaction to precision, becoming an engineered predator. So what's the path forward? How do you transform from prey to predator in this psychological laboratory? You engineer your biology. You don't suppress emotion. You observe it. You don't avoid pressure. You train under it. You don't eliminate instinct. You refine it. Here's how. Journal every emotional response after trades. Spot patterns. Visualize your reactions before market open. Mental rehearsal is real. Design if-then rules. If I feel panic, I execute size cut, not exit. Use breathing, posture, and stillness as weapons of state control. Track your emotional equity curve alongside your P&L because your nervous system is your edge. Master it, and you become the apex trader. Ignore it, and you become the next victim. Final word, the jungle is inside you. The most savage part of trading isn't the market. It's the internal war between your rules and your reflexes. Between the part of you that wants to kill with logic and the part that reacts from fear. Every trade is an experiment. Every candle is a test. Every market day is a simulation to see. Will you act like the animal you were born as or the predator you trained yourself to become? The choice is yours. But understand this. The market is not just testing your strategy. It's testing your evolution. The predators strike, few but fatal. The true predator does not flinch. He does not flail. He does not act out of emotion, boredom, or need. He acts with intent, and when he strikes, it is with lethal force. This is the elite trader's way, not to trade often, but to trade with deadly precision. Because in the jungle of Wall Street, noise is cheap. Everyone talks, everyone trades, everyone thinks they're a killer, but only a few leave a mark. The real killer isn't loud, he's accurate. You don't need many trades. You need one great setup. Most traders bleed out not from one mistake, but from thousands of small, meaningless actions. They scalp junk. They jump early. They trade maybe setups. They tell themselves, I'll just size small. But a true predator knows small bites don't feed the lion. He doesn't waste energy chasing butterflies. He waits, he watches, he studies the terrain, and when all the variables align, timing, volatility, psychology, confluence, he goes all in with surgical precision. That's not luck, that's mastery. The pros don't take more trades, they take more meaningful trades. The compound effect of precision. Let's break the myth. You do not need 100 trades a month to be a successful trader. You need 3 to 5 high-conviction trades that are perfectly timed, perfectly sized, and perfectly executed. That's it. One clean breakout with real volume, one fade of an exhausted move, one trend continuation with macro confirmation, one high R setup post-news wipeout, one reversal when the herd is paralyzed. That's all it takes. Because when you hit a setup that aligns across timeframes, psychology, and structure, you don't just make money. You create statistical leverage, and that leverage can compound faster than 1,000 forced scalps ever could. One shot, one kill. The sniper metaphor is overused in trading, but that's because it's true. The sniper doesn't shoot at every shadow. He studies wind, distance, light, target movement, mental focus. Then he breathes, waits, and fires once. The bullet lands, the target drops, the mission is over. The elite trader must operate the same way. Your setups are your rifle. Your process is your scope. Your capital is your bullet. Why would you waste it on garbage? A lion does not swipe at flies. A sniper does not take random shots. A killer does not second guess once the trigger is pulled. Frequency is for the weak. Precision is for the rich. Retail traders think more trades equals more chances. But Wall Street knows more trades, more exposure to error. Every trade opens the door to emotional sabotage, slippage in spread, overtrading, fatigue, overconfidence. Every entry is a test of discipline. Why risk it all for something that doesn't scream kill? The pros are quiet for days, even weeks, if needed. But when the market finally screams, they load, they focus, they attack, and they walk away heavy. Few trades, fatal impact. That's the formula. The anatomy of a fatal strike. What does a lethal trade look like? It has these components. 1. Clarity. No confusion. Price is clean. Structure is obvious. 2. Confluence. Multiple factors align. Technical, bigger sentiment, news. 3. Volatility. There's movement, expansion. Risk is worth it. 4. Imbalance. Market is unprepared. Caught off guard. Liquidity is thin. 5. Psychology. The herd is wrong. Fear or greed has reached a breaking point. When those 5 align, it's not just a trade, it's a kill shot. And that's when the predator sizes up, not recklessly, but with full control, because he knows opportunity is rare, but when it comes, it must be hunted down without hesitation. The art of knowing when not to strike. What separates the master from the amateur is not just knowing when to act, but knowing when not to. The market will throw decoys, almost setups, weak breakouts, false breakdowns. It will whisper, maybe this time. But the predator does not fall for whispers. He listens for the roar. He holds fire, even when tempted, even when others are feasting. He is not hungry for action. He is patient for meat. And this is where real money is made, not in action, but in the refusal to act until it's time. Capital preservation equals power. The longer you wait, the more capital you protect. The more capital you protect, the more you can size when the moment arrives. This is math. If you trade 100 mediocre setups and make 1 R each, you're barely staying afloat. But if you trade 3 ultra-high probability setups and hit 5 R, 7 R, 10 R, your curve explodes. And more importantly, your mindset transforms. You stop chasing. You stop needing to trade. You start hunting. Your track record is defined by your strikes, not your activity. Go look at the top traders in the world. Their careers are defined by moments, not motion. Druckenmiller's Soros trade on the pound, Burry's subprime short, Paul Tudor Jones during Black Monday, Livermore's short during the 1929 crash. These were not random trades. They were sniper shots in chaos. And they didn't happen every week. But when they came, the predator inside them struck, and history remembers their strike, not their silence. Final word: trade like a ghost, strike like a god. Most will never learn this. They will trade too much. They will feed the broker. They will bleed from 1,000 paper cuts. But the few who master the art of the lethal strike will operate differently: silent, calm, cold-blooded. And when they act, the market feels it. Because the real predator doesn't need to roar. His execution says everything. Walk into the market like prey, and you will be hunted. Hesitate, and you will be cornered. React emotionally, and you will bleed. The financial markets are not designed to reward the naive, the impulsive, or the weak. They're designed to expose you. So don't come in wide-eyed. Don't come in desperate. Don't come in needing to win. Come in like a predator. Calm, calculated, composed. Know exactly what you're hunting, why you're hunting it, and when to strike. Because in this arena, you can't control the market, but you can control yourself. And in the end, the one who masters himself is the one who survives. No noise, no panic, no random shots, just quiet confidence, precise execution, and total command of your own instincts. That's what makes a real trader. That's what makes a predator. That's the mindset we build. So if this message speaks to you, if you're ready to stop playing like a pawn and start thinking like a hunter, then subscribe now to Trading Mindset Lab. This is where traders evolve, where instincts are sharpened, where the mindset of a killer is forged. We don't trade like everyone else. We trade like predators. Welcome to the lab.